Um, Thank you both so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Really enjoying the show. Have had a chance to watch a couple episodes, and definitely your characters are some of my favorites. Just with the moments, I'm excited to talk about them. So diving in, I'd love to just get your reactions as you started to read the scripts. How did you initially react to your characters' arcs, and what were you most surprised about as you kind of got further into them?
I can tackle that. Although first, I want to say, Zoe, you got to show him your
I
Funko,
know.
his background.
Cody, do you have
I
that?
I
Yeah, his,
cannot wait to add it to the collection. Yeah.
oh man,
Look
they're so good.
how cool she is.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm obsessed. I was at the New York Comic Con panel when they did the reveal on the
Okay,
screen, and I loved it. Yes, they are so cool.
that was
cool.
the first thing I thought when I read the scripts was two Funkos, man. Um, I
Two
no,
fun. Yeah.
I really to me, I really just love the scripts from Jump. James had kind of undersold it to me a little bit. He when he talked about it, it was like, oh yeah, I think we're doing this thing. He's like, I wrote this thing that's called Creature Commandos. It's a bunch of monsters. He's like, it's fun. It's gonna be really funny. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he got the DC job, and he's like, yeah, we're definitely doing it. And he sent me the scripts, and I was like, I said to my wife when I read them, I'm like, babe, I think this is my favorite thing James has ever written, and I wasn't kidding. And I just really was. I was in love with the scripts from the very beginning, and then to see the whole process and be able to record it and the playing of it, and really, I have such wonderful. I have such an affinity for both characters that I play, both Weasel and GI Robot, and then just to see how much the animation elevates it, and how just truly spectacular the other voice actors are in the piece. I'm just kind of like, it's really been a thrilling process. Now I just want everybody to see it who will like it, you know?
Yeah, me too. Ditto. Ditto. I'm new to DCU. I'm new to James Gunn and his collective of, troublemakers. And so yeah, I just feel so lucky that I get to be a part of his like first project with DC, and yeah, to explore these characters that are not as known. Um, it's just been really fun.
Well, Zoe, I have no doubt that audiences are going to fall in love with Nina the moment they meet her. She's got so many hidden depths and vulnerabilities. And what was it like bringing this character to life, who's so good-natured, so sweet amid this kind of chaotic world around her?
Yeah, she's special because despite having a very traumatic origin story, she remains this open feeling being that is, not hardened like the others. And I think she sort of pulls out the humanity in Bride and GI Robot, and forges these very unexpected friendships. But yeah, I think her superpower is her big heart.
Well, you touched on the friendship there between Nina and GI. What was it like getting to work together to bring this kind of unexpected friendship together between these two characters?
We just met 2 weeks ago at New York Comic Con. And we get along really well. But
Yeah,
I mean, Sean can speak to the process. But
yeah. I mean, it's really cool. Some of the actors got to work together a little bit. Zoe and Dira work together, and I know David and Frank work together, and Frank and um, Maria. But for the most part, animation's different, and you're usually you're flying solo in the booth, and I certainly was for all my sessions. At some point, I was able to hear Zoe's voice and performance so that I knew what I was playing off of. But the rest is done in the booth. But that's the job. It's cool.
Well, Sean, you are of course playing two characters who couldn't be more different. How did you switch between their mindsets and the characters while filming?
Well, the good thing is that I've done it before. I've done it with in Guardians. I've done it where I've had to play in that I had to play two characters in the same scene multiple times, which is really tricky. With this, I just sort of prepare separately. You know, it's like two different. There've been other things. I'm sure, like I'm sure Zoe could tell you, even if you've never done it in one project, there are probably things where you're doing two projects simultaneously. You just like, and you kind of treat the two characters differently. And then, other than my very first session, for the most part, when I would go into the booth, I would either be doing one character or the other, but not both. So I just kind of treat them separately as almost like they're two different jobs.
Well, I'd love to talk about Weasel's backstory, which we get to explore, which is heartbreaking, I feel like is the best word just to sum it up. It's the fun thing about the show that I love so much is just how you have these humorous moments where you're laughing 1 minute and there's like these action sequences, and then it's like tugging at your heartstrings the next with these really just deeply emotional backstories and stories for these characters. Sean, what do you think? What are you looking forward to seeing that when the fans get to that episode and learn Weasel's background? Because it really is a story about not how people can judge just based on appearances and misread a situation just based on those preconceived notions.
Yeah. Well, one thing that jumped out at me is that episode is airing the day after Christmas, which is which is really something.
Oh
But
my gosh.
um, you know, it's it's great. I thought of Weasel, you know, as comic relief in the Suicide Squad movie. When I first played him, I didn't, you know, I learned the sounds and tried to find what the character looked like and sounded like, and then just sort of, you know, threw it at the wall and see what's stuck, and then to be able to then go on and take that same character but try to give him some sort of emotional resonance was very interesting process. It's one of the more challenging things that I've had to tackle. But you know, James always talked about Weasel like he was a big dog, and you know, rather than and seeing that as some kind of comedy, it's like, you know, anybody who has a dog or loves dogs know that they experience joy and pain and sadness and fear and all the things that we experience. They just can only growl and whine and whimper to express those things. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to tap into with Weasel. I mean, it's devastating. What he's going through there is devastating. And how do you do that without being able to speak? And so that's kind of what I'm going for.
You know, it was brilliant and definitely well achieved because that episode, man, it gets you. Zoe, I love we don't really we haven't gotten to the point in the screeners I've seen of Nina's backstory. So what can you tease about the story as we will get to know a little bit? Because we've gotten pieces here and there.
All I'll say is it's as devastating, if not more, than the other Creature Commandos origin stories. Yeah, you just get to understand why she is the way she is, and how strong and resilient she's actually been. You know, because I think sometimes people write off kind, nice, warm people as being like pushovers or something, or weak. But really, it's an active choice, people. And and Nina, yeah, has I think fought her whole life to make connections, meaningful connections. And yeah, it's gonna be a doozy. I hear. I actually have. I know I've read the script and I've acted in the script and voiced the script, but I have not seen that episode yet. And supposedly it's packs a punch.
All right, well, it sounds like I'm definitely going to have to brace myself for that when we get to it. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to speak with me. Really enjoy the show, and can't wait for the fans to get to dive in and enjoy this wild ride as well.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kyle.
Cody.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.